In the past few weeks, the US health policy landscape has been chaotic, to say the least. The fast paced news cycle can feel overwhelming. So, we're here to break down the most important Capitol Hill healthcare updates that you need to know. Let's start with Elon Musk's progress report email redux from last weekend.
HHS employees received yet another email from Musk's Office of Personnel Management, this time with the subject of, "What did you do last week, part 2?" Employees were supposed to reply with 5 bullet points about their work and copy their manager, and this would be something that they'd have to do every week going forward by 11:59 p.m. on Monday. I was talking with some HHS agency employees over the weekend, and they were initially told to hold off, to wait for specific guidance from HHS, and HHS weighed in, basically saying yes, they should follow this directive, and they would have to do this every week.
How did employees handle it?
In general, I heard from my sources that they would keep it vague and unspecific, and that they were sharing examples of activities that they could include in these emails. Keep in mind, during the first round of this, HHS advised its employees to be careful in their responses because they suspected the OPM email system was compromised by, quote, malign foreign actors. I didn't hear about that again this week, but there was concern that the responses were being analyzed by an AI tool, and at the very least that meant that no human or DOJ official might be reading these responses, so that led one of my sources to call it a, quote, pointless exercise and complete waste of time.
And that is not all on the federal healthcare workforce front.
No, it's certainly not. So our editor-in-chief, Dr. Jeremy Faust, had an exclusive scoop this week. Jeremy reported that on Tuesday, some CDC employees who were fired by DOJ had been reinstated. So sources shared their reinstatement emails with Jeremy, and these said that the February 15th terminations had been rescinded and that the employees should return to work per their usual schedule on Wednesday, March 5th. The email also included this line, quote, "We apologize for any disruption that this may have caused." The other interesting thing here is that we don't know exactly how this happened. Yeah, it's true that last Thursday, a federal judge ruled that OPM's firing of probationary employees was illegal, and that on Tuesday, the day that workers received those reinstatement emails, OPM had revised its original memo saying that agencies don't have to fire probationary employees, but there seems to be more to the story. And we just received a press release from Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia, where the CDC is based, saying that he helped get these CDC employees reinstated. Who reached out to Warnock? Was CDC pushing back from within? We just don't have all those details at this point.
And you have one more story for us this week, right?
Yes, just one more. So last week, we learned that a meeting of the FDA's Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee, or VRBPAC, which was set for March 13th, has been canceled. And this one was important because they were going to discuss influenza strains for next year's flu shot. Now, we don't know exactly why the meeting was canceled, but it's certainly not the first advisory committee meeting that's been shut down by HHS. Last week, a regular meeting of CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP, was also canceled. We haven't seen any dates for rescheduling either of these meetings. Here's the concern about VRBPAC not meeting. Dr. Tina Tan, president of the Infectious Diseases Society of America, told our reporter, Cheryl Clark, that without this meeting, vaccine makers may not have the right information or the right amount of time that they need to make and distribute shots ahead of the next flu season. Apparently, WHO selects the strains, and pharmaceutical companies can take their direction from WHO, but there's a data lag there, and VRBPAC allows for a more updated look at strains that were circulating even more recently, and that information may need to be incorporated into the vaccine formulation. Of course, the bigger concern here is that we know that these committees have been a target of HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It's been reported that Kennedy intends to remove some of the members of these advisory committees over concerns about their alleged conflicts of interests and close ties to pharmaceutical manufacturers, but Tan and others have said that these panelists are always properly vetted, and potentially shaking up or getting rid of these committees would be a huge change for the way that CDC and FDA operate.
That's all for today, but please follow MedPage Today to keep up with our ongoing coverage.